Hey, everybody. This is Manny. I am your host from the podcast All Things Public Safety, presented by Blue Line Guardian. The reason I created this podcast was to bring awareness to a lot of instances where people put themselves in or find themselves in where they become the victims of crimes. Sometimes it just happens. You can't help it. Other times we can help it. I have over 25 years of law enforcement experience. And one of the other reasons I created this podcast, and now I'm going to take it on video, is because I want you to hear it from first-hand accounts of certain situations or incidents that have happened that have been investigated by the officers or investigators themselves, so you can take something away from it that you can keep you and your loved ones safe. If nothing else, you can at least hear where we in law enforcement, we get it wrong. We're human beings. We make mistakes. We try to get it right, despite what some people might say, some critics. We come on the job to serve the public, to protect those who can't protect themselves. I'm not going to get into the politics of a lot of things. So if you're expecting to hear a lot of political rant as to left or right of center or whatever, this is probably not the podcast that you want to listen to. More along the lines of what we will be discussing is, for example, episode number 2 of the podcast, I talked about situational awareness and how to become aware whether you're at the mall, you're at the shopping center, you're at the gas station, you're at the ATM, right? And then I follow up on it. I follow up on different episodes after that. I build up on it. A lot of the stuff that we talk about is our own opinion. We're not here to talk about on behalf of our departments that we work for. It's simply to bring awareness to the public, to say, hey, how could I avoid this? Hopefully these videos that are going to be coming up will have some value to your personal safety, something that people can talk about, listen to, whether they're driving to work, at the gym, just trying to kill some time and get something out of it. I keep the podcasts right now, as of late, I keep them very short. I keep the episodes anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. The longest one I have was when I had my first guest, and I was very honored to have her. It was my daughter, Spencer, and she wanted to talk about women's safety and things to think about, to consider. She's 18, be 19 here in a couple of months, and she wanted to talk about the things that happened. The goal, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word, they go unnoticed until it affects you. He talks about that 1 in 3 women are stalked, right? Or become the victims of some kind of a crime where they know the person, right? And those stats might be off a little bit, but it's worth the discussion. Even if we're wrong with the stats and you go and look them up, all the better. And here's why. Because now it's in your head. We have a discussion. We talk about this, but we make people aware. I was a watch commander in an assignment, or for those of you who don't understand, a watch commander is somebody who runs a watch full of officers and other supervisors, other sergeants. So where I worked was in the downtown area of a big city here in Southern California. And one of those responsibilities was a train station with also had a bus stop for multiple bus lines. Everything from the flex bus that goes from here to Las Vegas and back to the regular buses run across the city. The biggest thing that I saw an uptick in was human trafficking of children. And when you think human trafficking, you think like they show in the movies where there's a box truck and there's kids in there and there's women in there and they're all tied up and there's tape on their mouth. And no, it's like this. Kids get on some of these apps, and I can't even name them all because I'm not that tech savvy. You got Snapchat, you got Instagram. The boomers use a Facebook like me, right? And any other social media outlet where kids are drawn to, and that's where they get contacted. Now, sorry about the overhead flying aircraft. That's probably San Bernardino sheriffs flying overhead along the foothills. Yeah, there he goes. Okay, but getting back to what I was talking about, human trafficking, it's more along the lines of luring the kid to come to you. It's one thing when either a pedophile or a prospective, which we call a pimp or a trafficker, goes to that child, because that becomes, I believe it's a felony. Now, if I get this wrong, please correct me, because that way we can discuss this and dialogue this a little better and educate ourselves as we go along. Anyway, but when the child travels and they get on a bus and then they get to a train station, they take the train to, let's say, from downtown LA to Lancaster, or from downtown LA to San Diego, with the promise that, hey, I got money, I'll treat you better than your parents, or I'll treat you better than the broken home you're in. It's a done deal. It's a very scary thing to even think about. Even if there's no issues in your home and you think everything's going great as a parent, you're like, oh, we're doing good. The kids, sometimes they get curious, and a lot of the times we would have human trafficking task forces working along the train lines and the bus lines. And what we would look for is a child anywhere between the ages as young as 8 or 9, believe it or not, up to the teen years, 15 or 16, and if they were by themselves. And a lot of the telltale signs were usually backpacks. That's it, because they thought they had all the supplies they needed. Thing of it is, though, you'll never see these kids again. And I had a buddy of mine who's now retired, a retired sergeant out of LAPD, said one thing. He goes, the first 48 hours of a missing person are the most crucial ones, because 90% of the victims after that have a very low chance of survival after the first 48 hours when they've been reported missing. Think about that. That's scary. And there's a lot of malintent people out there with their eyes on your kids. This isn't to make you paranoid. This isn't to make you rip every piece of electronic device from your kids' hands. Okay, technology's here and it's here to stay. Technology is good in so many respects. There's a lot of things you can do good with technology. Like in this case, I'm giving you a message, I'm sharing it, and I'm hoping it reaches somebody. Even if it only reaches one person, I'm okay with it. Really, honestly. I don't intend to monetize this. I don't intend to make any kind of profit from this. The profit that I want to make from this is to save at least one life. And if this causes some kind of conversation in your house or between you and your significant other with your child, okay, and it raises some type of awareness, or maybe it confirms your suspicions, all the better. I did my job. I did what drives my passion. Okay, so that being said, it's just to bring awareness, bring a conversation into the house, and talk about these things. Ask the question. It's okay to ask a question as a parent. You have all the rights in the world to say, hey, who do you talk to on Snapchat? Who do you talk to on Instagram? Show me your friends. Let me see. You have every right to find who the friends of your children are. And when you see those messages, hey, can you meet me somewhere? And you've never been there before, or something out of the ordinary, like, hey, we never go in that direction. Why all of a sudden do you feel that you got to go? And do that. Be the curious, be the nosy parent. Okay, our job's not to be our kid's best friend. Our first job is to be a parent. Then after that, it's to be their friend as they get older, as they develop. But those are the things you should look for. Those are the things that when I was a watch commander would keep me up at night, because it wasn't about just my children. It's about somebody else's children. And how would I feel about my child being caught in that kind of situation where they think they know, but they really don't know what's really out there and what's waiting for them. I've dealt with, in my tenure as a police officer, I've talked to plenty of women that are in human trafficking, that work in prostitution, and you try and talk them out of it, and they're set on it, and there's no getting them out. And it's really sad. It's heartbreaking because a lot of these girls are everywhere between the ages of 18 and 22, and they get trafficked from Los Angeles to Las Vegas to San Diego to other parts of the country and then back. That's like a giant circuit. And they're always looking for young girls that are looking for they think that they're going to find something better than what they have right now. So please have that conversation with your kids. I hope this brought some kind of awareness, and I hope this brought some value to you. And if it did, please hit the like and subscribe button. I promise you these episodes are going to get better. And I promise you that I will have some pretty interesting guests on board. And they're not all going to be cops. There's a few civilians that are have a vast wealth of knowledge about how to keep you and yours safe. All right, well, thanks for giving me some of your time, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.